They crucified Jesus there with the criminals, one on his right and one on his left. They hung Jesus there with the criminals, one on his right and one on his left. All three there together, sharing the same abuse, sharing the same pain, sharing the same fear. All three of them there, bound together by an indissoluble bond, connected in a way that can never be broken. I imagine that Jesus recognized these criminals. I imagine he looked into their faces and saw people he knew. I imagine that he recognized their voices. He heard them speak and heard tones he knew. It must have been as if Ishmael was on one side and Isaac on the other, as if Esau was on one side and Jacob on the other, as if Joseph was on one side and his brothers were on the other. There, in the form of these criminals hanging from a cross, was in fact the entire history of our dealing with God and with each other. There hung all of the good and all of the bad of all of humanity, justly condemned for what it had done. One criminal can't help himself. He joins in the mocking. Are you not the Messiah? Save yourself and us. The other sees the truth and rebukes him. Do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And we indeed have been condemned justly, for we are getting what we deserve for our deeds, but this man has done nothing wrong. Yet there, together, connected and bound, these criminals learn what we must all learn. It is as if salvation occurs when we look into the face of another we didn't think was human and see a common humanity there. It is as if salvation appears when we look into the face of another we didn't think was human and see Jesus there. It is as if salvation occurs when we recognize Jesus and stop, linger, and pray. Jesus says to one of the criminals, or one of the criminals says to Jesus, "Remember me when you come into your kingdom." "Truly, I tell you," Jesus responds, "today you will be with me in paradise, both of you, the one who mocked, the one who rebuked, both of you, despite what you have done, both of you, regardless of who you are, both of you will today be with me in paradise." And this, I think, is our call for the week. Our call as we step into the shoes of Jesus to walk where he walked, to try to say what he said. Maundy Thursday when we wash feet, Good Friday when we look at the cross, Holy Saturday when all seems gone and absent and bare, and the fire at the vigil, the new light, the celebration of Easter. It might be that this is all we need to know, that the one we didn't think was human is human, that the criminals on the cross are the first, and we must get in line behind them. God appeared to them in the form of Jesus. God was there with them, connected to them, bound to them. It may be, Joseph says, that you meant it for evil, but God will use it for good. It may be that Ishmael was banished to a different land and Isaac received the blessing of his father, but they stood there together as brothers when their father died and they were drawn to his grave. It may be that Jacob stole Esau's blessing, but in the end, Esau received his own blessing, and they were brothers. It may be that the brothers sold Joseph into slavery, thinking they would never see him again. But Joseph saves them, feeds them, makes them a family, reconciling himself to them. It may be, he says, that you meant it for evil, but God intends it for good. So our fate, to stand in line behind those two criminals, to recognize the humanity of those we thought were not human, to recognize Jesus appearing where we least expected him, and to go there, move there, stand there, pray there. Salvation, it seems, is about getting in line and being prepared for our cross on the right and on the left side of Jesus. Amen.